Every single day, billions of dollars move through the US economy. But what's really going on behind those big numbers? How can the coffee you buy in the morning be connected to the stock market? What makes the value of the dollar rise or fall? And why does the world stop and listen when the Federal Reserve speaks? In this video, we'll break down the US economy like a puzzle, piece by piece. But first, you need to know something. The economy? It's way closer to your life than you think. How does the US economy work? To understand how the US economy works, we need to start with the idea that it's based on a free market system. This means that individuals, both consumers and producers, are generally free to make their own decisions about what to buy, sell, or produce, with limited interference from the government. While the government does regulate certain areas like banking, insurance, and food safety, the overall economy runs mostly on the forces of supply and demand. 1. The main pillars of the US economy. The US economy is built around several key components. Consumers. The main driving force behind economic growth in the US is regular people, everyday consumers. Personal consumption makes up more than 65% of the country's gross domestic product, GDP. That means people spending money on goods and services is what fuels the economy most. Businesses and corporations. The US is home to some of the world's biggest and most influential companies, from Amazon and Apple to Microsoft and Tesla. These companies contribute by innovating, creating jobs, and exporting products around the world. The government. The US government plays a major role by investing in infrastructure, military, education, and public services. It also influences the economy through taxes and spending, which can either stimulate or slow down economic activity. The Federal Reserve Central Bank, often called the Fed, the central bank manages inflation, adjusts interest rates, and aims to keep the economy stable. It's one of the most influential economic institutions in the world. 2. How money flows in the US economy. Let's imagine a regular person in the US wakes up, buys a coffee, drives to work, shops online in the evening, and pays some bills before bed. Each of those small actions is part of a massive network of money movement, credit, production, taxes, and services. Banks play a key role in this flow of money. They lend money to businesses, provide credit cards to individuals, and act as the middlemen between savings and investment. The interest rate set by the Federal Reserve strongly influences this process. When rates are high, people borrow less and save more. When rates are low, borrowing and spending tend to go up. 3. Exports and imports. The US is one of the world's largest trading nations. It exports high-tech products, pharmaceuticals, machinery, entertainment like movies and music, and much more. At the same time, it imports many goods, especially from countries like China, Mexico, and Canada. This global trade helps keep the economy diverse and competitive, but it also leads to debates about outsourcing, trade deficits, and manufacturing jobs. 4. Employment and wages. Jobs are the backbone of the economy. In the US, the labor market is dynamic. People move between jobs often, and industries are constantly evolving. When the economy is strong, unemployment is low and wages usually rise. But when there's a slowdown or recession, businesses may lay off workers, which causes unemployment to rise and spending to fall. The US also has a concept called the minimum wage, which varies by state. Some states have higher minimum wages to reflect local costs of living. However, many workers still feel that wages don't always keep up with inflation, which leads to ongoing discussions around income inequality, workers' rights, and labor unions. 5. Innovation and technology. One of the reasons the US economy is so powerful is because of its innovation-driven mindset. From Silicon Valley to research universities, the country invests heavily in technology, startups, and scientific research. This has led to the rise of entire industries. Think of smartphones, cloud computing, electric cars, and artificial intelligence. Tech companies not only create jobs, but they also reshape how people live and work. For example, remote work and the gig economy, Uber, DoorDash, freelance platforms, are new economic models that didn't exist a couple of decades ago. 6. Wall Street and the financial system. When people think about the U.S. economy, they often think of Wall Street, the heart of the country's financial system. Wall Street includes stock markets like the New York Stock Exchange, NYSE, and NASDAQ. Here, companies raise money by selling shares, and investors, both big and small, buy and sell stocks. The performance of the stock market doesn't always reflect the real economy, but it does influence people's confidence. For example, if the market crashes, people might cut back on spending out of fear. On the other hand, when stocks are rising, people often feel wealthier and spend more. 7. Government spending and national debt. The U.S. government spends trillions of dollars each year on military defense, healthcare, like Medicare and Medicaid, Social Security, education, and infrastructure. To fund this spending, the government collects taxes, but often it still spends more than it brings in. The difference is called the budget deficit, and over time it adds to the national debt. There's a lot of debate about how dangerous the national debt really is. Some economists argue that it's manageable as long as the economy keeps growing. Others warn that too much debt could eventually lead to inflation or reduce trust in the U.S. dollar. 8. Challenges facing the U.S. economy. No economy is perfect, and the U.S. has its fair share of challenges. Some of the big ones include income inequality. The gap between the wealthy and the poor has widened in recent decades. While some people are billionaires, others struggle to afford rent or healthcare. Healthcare costs. The U.S. spends more on healthcare than any other country, but millions remain uninsured or underinsured. Housing affordability. In many cities, especially on the coast, the cost of housing has skyrocketed, pricing out middle-class families. Climate change. As weather patterns shift and natural disasters become more common, the U.S. economy is being forced to adapt, especially in agriculture, insurance, and energy sectors. 9. The role of the dollar. The U.S. dollar is the world's reserve currency, meaning it's used in most global transactions. This gives the U.S. a unique advantage. It can borrow more easily, influence international trade, and stabilize its currency through global demand. However, it also comes with responsibility, and if confidence in the dollar ever falls, it could create global ripple effects. Final thoughts. The U.S. economy is vast, complex, and constantly evolving. It's a system built on consumer behavior, business innovation, government policy, and international trade. While it has created immense wealth and opportunity, it also faces serious challenges that require thoughtful solutions. In the end, what makes the U.S. economy work is not just numbers and policies, it's people. From workers and entrepreneurs to teachers, engineers, and everyday consumers, it's the choices and actions of individuals that keep this giant machine running.